Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on OST. We love that it's a Chinese company with a great business description, and a stock down this much has only one way to go.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
All right.
Hey, welcome to Laughing Stock, everybody. Johnny, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good.
Back in business.
Back in business. Yeah, I actually had a rough week, and really it was all my mistakes and being stupid and trying to assume anything. But it wasn't like a terrible week. But I talked a little bit to you on the phone. The more frustrating part is technically for the week I was only down 1%, from where I started the week. But the week before I was down a few percent. So I think it's kind of the compounding nature of that. And then on top of it, on I think Tuesday, I had a great day and was up, up a few percent. So I ended up having, even though I ended the week down 1%, I had like a 5.5% swing down from my high of the week. So just that feeling of I'm doing well this week to being way back to before where I started, that part kind of sucked. So
yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and it's I have experienced full-on weeks with losses as well, and you just see what you have, because it's so much easier to lose the money than to gain them, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And on
top
of that,
it just sucks to see it disappear.
Yeah, I was just going to say on top of it too, like it made me make all kinds of dumb decisions. Like I sold some things earlier than I probably should have. And they, on Friday, of course, Friday was a great day for the whole markets. And not only was I not paying attention really on Friday, because after getting stopped out of a few things on Wednesday and Thursday, I was like, I'll just slow down for a sec. Let's just kind of clear my head here. Of course, Friday was the great day. I probably should have been on. I probably would have. 2 or 3 of the stocks I looked at had strong returns that day. And that probably would have maybe break even or even positive for the week. So yeah, it just goes to show that even me trying to be as, emotionally unattached to things as possible, I have a few bad days and then I assume everything's going bad. And then immediately I take time off right when I should have been trading probably. So yeah, it just is it is.
I think the point you are making is a good point, though. It's just to adapt it and find a way to use that so that you're not missing out. But at the same time, when you start to feel you are making a little bit of mistakes, it's so easy to go and make another mistake straight after because you want to get back at it, you know. So to step back, maybe to take a day off or something, and just clear your mind, I think that's a good point. But yeah, sometimes maybe you end up timing it wrong. But at the end of the day, maybe next week will be great again, you know. So you never know these things. I think that the point about stepping back a little bit when things are going against you is a good point.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not gonna like beat myself up over it too much, but and we'll see too. I mean, you know, the part of the reason I was saying all that too is if I go to my market strength here, you know, the numbers have been really good. Like Friday, like I said, was a really good day, but earlier in the week it was not. Last week was not strong. You know, in terms of like 1 month high stocks, like, you know, stuff that's really pushing the market upwards, I have some of the lowest numbers I've seen. I had a lot of failed breakouts. So that all compounded with the fact that I was missing a bunch of breakouts made me, in my mind, think like, you know, maybe the market's heading for a down period. It kind of looked like it was going to slow down. And like I said, besides Friday being a big beat day, you know, I just had a bad feeling for the market strength, and also from the fact that, you know, I got kicked out of some names. And, you know, you talking about compounding mistakes, you know, I also, in terms of becoming defensive, I sold out of some names that were pulling back. Two of my big names, which was STCUF and TDUP, had really good days, I believe, on Tuesday. And then and I think Wednesday too, they both had okay days or pretty decent days. And then Thursday, they had big drops. And that was where most of my cash went. So also probably should have taken some off the table. So another lesson is, you know, when stuff is really getting up there, you know, I'm up 40-50% on a position. I know you're supposed to hold till the 10-day moving average, but I probably in my head would have been better off to maybe sell another half of that position and go down to just a quarter size position. It probably emotionally would have made that a little bit easier of a period to get through.
Yeah, I experienced a little bit the same in one name I was in. And it sucks when half your position ends up dropping pretty heavy, you know,
Right.
because it does take away a big portion of the gain you had. But at the same time, if you just keep doing this consistently over time, I think you will be fine though.
Yeah, no, it's not like every time these mistake weeks for me, it makes me realize things, you know, I probably should have done this, you know, in the future. So I'm hoping it's just another time it'll improve. And of course, because, you know, I missed a few breakouts in terms of them pulling back in me, makes me go back to my breakout strategy. I mean, you know, I've told you that, well, the nuance of breakouts in the charts are obviously extremely important. Sometimes I do a little bit of like a shotgun. Like if I see 2 or 3 names and I kind of all think they look decent, I'm not going to try and pick one over the other. I'm going to fire at all 3 and see what sticks, because it's so hard sometimes to pick the winner of 3 when they all look kind of in my range. But I do want to go back and start to focus, like, hey, there was those 3 stocks, you know, what really made this chart stand out compared to the other 2? Is there any correlation there in terms of which one of those worked out? I know statistically sometimes you're not going to find any correlation, and just certain times one takes off over the other ones. And don't get me wrong, looking back, you know, I saw names that I looked at and have done really well. I didn't take them, but they did really well. And you know, it's even making me think of things now in terms of like where that volume comes in, how early in the day, how strong does a stock look, you know, how big are the pullbacks. There's so many little things that you can try and focus on and see if that's going to improve or whatnot. But
I think it's always worth looking for those small details, because you know, that's what Kulamagi talks about. He says like, you need to put in 1,000 hours in this and create a mental picture of how a stock moves, you know?
Yes. No, I agree.
So this is, and this is part of that. Okay, out of those 3, what made the one succeed? It's probably something, right? But maybe it's very hard to find. maybe you have to look in the small details, and maybe that's irrelevant for the next time that happens. You know, maybe you try to pick the one that has the same, what do you call it, like the same signs that the one that succeeded this time, and it fails. But then you have at least tested it, and you can say to yourself, okay, that was maybe not. I shouldn't put so much emphasis on my findings at that time. But I think it's always important to try to look for these details, because in the end, it just will make you better.
Yeah. So, it's a bit of a reflection. And I mean, I look at, and I'm only in MAG right now. That's the only position I didn't actually get kicked out of, which, even year to date, I'm still up 27%. So
Yeah.
it's not that it's like the end of the world. It's more just the disappointment of, that number would have been up like 30 some percent.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't think you are the only one who find like this market a bit hard to read. I see a lot of people now say they're just sitting on the fence a little bit, because it is very hard to read. And the earnings season now, I see a lot of things beating earnings estimates, and they go up, 30%, and they come down heavily. We have seen tons of examples on that. And at the same time, you have seen stocks that takes off due to earnings beats and stuff like that. So it's very mixed now. It almost feels like a little bit like 50-50, and that just makes it very hard to read. And a lot of the breakouts I've seen this week also has just failed. The next day you would get stopped out, So it's definitely I think it's very hard to read right now. But at the same time, I think the Nasdaq reached, for a brief moment, an all-time high on Friday.
Yeah, actually, let me just move this over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is the composite 21.45. I know 21.5 was the high there. Yeah, I mean it's right there, no matter what.
Yeah.
So, but this is the other thing too. And I've been doing a ton of background research. I was watching a lot of Trader Lion videos. Trying to parse out different things, and they had some really. I mean, he had Weinstein on. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
It was like,
I didn't see that one, but I saw he was on.
Yeah, so and it was kind of good because the interview sometime like around like right here, probably like a week ago or so, and the last time he had him on was somewhere over here, like right before the whole crash happened, and he's just going back and forth on things he looked at, and I learned a lot, like in terms of actually calling this bottom here, this drop in reversal on this strong volume and stuff here. They were saying like that's where you can start to see people coming in to support that line there. As you see that heavy volume, you see it drops way down, but then it finishes the day strong. And even though the next day is really choppy too, as you start to see this day come back in here, whatever this day is,
8th of April or something.
Yeah, 9th of April, and 7th, 8th, and 9th. That region in there. You see heavy volume coming in to support this price, which means that should be a sign to you that there's a lot of people coming in to buy right there. And historically, I would look at this section here and just think it's really choppy and hard to read. But after thinking of it in that perspective, I'm like, actually, I kind of see what you're saying. Like, it's going to be super volatile when someone's trying to find that bottom. When people are coming in, some people are trying to sell. No one really knows what's going on, but that is a good indicator. And then they said the final one that put the nail in the coffin is this day here on the 21st is when it started to pull. It had dropped right back down, but had a really like weak day in terms of it trying to find the bottom. And then the next day, like a big jump right back up. And they said from there on, right up. And this failure to take out these lows, this was like the sign that the market was back, and this was like the early signal on these 2 days here. And I guess maybe if you really wanted to argue this big jump on this day on the 23rd, that's where in terms of like next time we have like a dip and I'm trying to swing trade, I'm going to be looking for this kind of a pattern off the drop, because this is showing you that this is pushing out. And sure, if you want to be really safe, you could have probably waited until like May 12th here when it really starts to break out again.
And I think it was just around that time you started to see more setups. You know.
Yeah, and of course you
It
will,
took a
because
while since April.
yeah,
It
as
took like a
everything,
month.
if the markets break out, the stocks are going to start to break out. So
Yeah.
And I
So,
mean, just look at the buying from April 22nd all the way through May 14th. I mean, most of these days are positive in terms of the the support.
Yeah, it definitely changed color in the volume bars there before and after the April there.
Right.
So it's just like these signs, and then you have to act on it. And maybe that's where we are now. Like you start to see a few signs, like some of the big giga caps are starting to fall a bit. Actually, so can you pull up Berkshire, Dane? Because I looked at this yesterday, and I it's not uncommon maybe that they move a little bit against the market, because this has fallen since April. But now they are under the 200-day moving average. And if you check the two last times, it found like itself in a bit of a longer period below the 200-day average. The first one was, COVID. And the second one was the war in Ukraine. And then it shaped like a W and moved back up again. So I'm just looking at a few things to see if you can find some, things repeating itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this is probably, Buffett stepping down. We got Greg coming in to see, what he does with the company. They have a massive cash position. I wonder with Burke, are they going to? I know they don't really do dividends, but like with all that cash, are they going to be able to find like enough businesses to actually, put that cash to work? Or are they going to buy back shares? I don't know. This is one of those things that, this is why Buffett put Greg in charge, because I think he's probably going to make sound decisions on this kind of thing. Greg, to me, in my mind, seems like a kind of a young Buffett in terms of, I don't know, just Buffett to place that level of trust in someone. Obviously, he must think very similar to how Buffett sees things. And I think with a structure like Berkshire, even though it's a massive company in terms of what like market cap, there's not a ton of like actual employees, especially like on the high side finance decision making side for Berkshire. So of those guys that are up there that are doing working directly with Buffett, I just think if he's going to hand this off to Greg, he is doing it because he's comfortable doing it. So I think this will be shareholder friendly at some point in terms of the return. I also think this is kind of fairly valued around here. I mean, PE doesn't really mean anything these days, but it's at 0.01. I just my thing is with all that cash, I don't know how you find a few companies right now that you're comfortable trying to employ all that. It's just a lot, but we'll see. I mean, it's definitely gonna be different to not have Buffett at the helm here.
It's gonna be very weird, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
if you also
just
pull up
Munger passings, it's a big change in my mind in terms of the way everything is.
Yeah, I agree. If you pull up IBM as well, Dane, we can go through a few of these giga cap now. That has fallen off, right? I don't know I'm not updated on IBM in particular. I just have them in one of my lists as a giga cap company.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with JP Morgan. They kind of follow the market a little bit more than IBM. But both of them have taken like a little bit of a nosedive lately, And then at the same time, you have companies like Spotify and Netflix who seems to turn around a little bit. So, and Google, you know, Google looks very strong right now.
Yeah, well, and Google
Tesla,
had a rough year so far. So, like IBM's one of those ones that's done. Like this has been a great year if you're an IBM holder, because IBM for the longest time. I mean, look at it. Look at like a long-term chart. You know, just sideways, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
finally in 2023, and
Gets
you know,
a move.
I attribute this all to AI. I mean, they're one of the, or actually, it's quantum. And probably AI as well. I don't know how much. I honestly don't know. I know IBM's had Watson for forever, but that was like, I don't think that's quite what like ChatGPT and all those things have done. But in terms of quantum computing, IBM is like the leader or one of the leaders in getting that going. And I think they could be one of the first ones. I mean, they've always been the pushing of like that mainframe computer type style, you know, really big computers. That's IBM's like specialty, really. You know, they've never really been like a personal computer. At one point they were, but like not for long, to be honest. So I see this pullback kind of because quantum's one of those things that like news comes out that, you know, quantum computing's taking the next step, and then nothing really changes, and everyone's like, all right, whatever, like, you know, we'll wait till we see something. Where something like Spotify or Netflix, this is like something, I don't know about you. I use Spotify. I use Netflix. I think it's a great service, both of them. I'm very happy with both. I pay for both. These are the kind of things that I think are kind of like no-brainers. You know, Spotify was one of those ones that, like, you know, I really need to make it a can investing portfolio where I just put stuff in and forget about it, because when I first downloaded Spotify and used it, loved it, and ever since it just keeps getting better. Like that's the kind of company I think that like when you first run into something brand new, you know, Spotify was streaming for music what Netflix was for movies.
Yeah, and Spotify has also been able to because I know for a lot of music producers as well, that platform has been pretty shit, but they have started to improve it a lot now, and they have used you know, AI and improved their algorithms a lot, so that they create automatic playlists that fits your style of music, and all that stuff has taken them to the next level. So Spotify has improved massively in the last, you know, 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the ability for them to recommend songs that I actually like has gone up for sure.
Yeah, they are way more accurate on those things.
Right. And originally, you know, I see this with a few things. I think a good product with a subscription model, I always like those businesses. Like the reason why I feel like Pandora died, because Pandora was, you know, one of the original online streaming music producings, is because, yeah, I think you could pay for Pandora. I don't really remember, but what Pandora was basically a radio, and it had advertisements, and that's kind of the bonus of it, was that it was free. But at the same time, once you got Spotify, I could make my own playlist. I could listen to whatever I wanted at any point. It wasn't super expensive in my mind for being able to do that. And that model just knocks things out. Same with Netflix. Like Netflix, you know, I know you can pay for the lower tier where you have advertisements, but Netflix was just, hey, this is our price. You can watch anything that's on here at any time as often as you want. And kind of paying that fee to do that, I just see the positive of that in terms of, you know, someone like me who I don't have time to be wasting watching hundreds of ads. Like, it drives me nuts. I'll pay a little bit and just be able to enjoy what I'm trying to watch. I have, like, you know, an hour at most each day to do something like that. And they put out quality content, and I guess quality in terms of, you know, you could argue that, you know, the Netflix browser isn't perfect, but it's better than a lot of them. Spotify, I feel like, is pretty good. It's pretty clean the way it's set up, trying to add stuff, and they keep slowly improving things. They have a good, like, team, I feel like, in the background that keeps adjusting things. So it's a mix of all those things that I think make these good companies. And that's something that even like earnings, which don't get me wrong, earnings are obviously the underlying factor of why things move, but like, you know, earnings are going to follow the trend of why it's a good product. You know, I feel like first and foremost, like how do you predict earnings? Well, you predict earnings by looking at a product that seems like it's a solid product and that people want. You know, if you can find a company that has that, the earnings will follow, and then the stock price will follow.
Yeah.
Or maybe the stock price will lead. It seems like the stock price probably leads that more often than not too. But
If you look at the, at least what I see in TradingView, the last year with earnings for Spotify has been missed. But at the same time, look at the chart.
well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not saying that the earnings are going to be like beats per se, or that like they're generally increasing and all that. That's not really it. I'm just saying, in terms of speculation and people liking a company and being that popular company, getting that PE multiple expansion. I mean, this has a PE of 183. That's why I was just saying, like, who gives a shit about what PE? Like, it doesn't matter. No one cares, even though you should. No one cares that's buying this. You know what I mean? Like, when I look at some of these companies and I see something like that, I'm like, all right, well, don't pay attention to PE because that number's just, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. This is just, everyone wants to own Spotify because everyone knows what the product is and everyone likes it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few names. I know Kava's getting bigger in the States, and this one's pulled back, but I mean, still, it's worth 10 billion now, PE of 70. Like, you know, these numbers just don't matter. And you know, it was just double this. So the PE was just 140.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep seeing these things bounce around.
I think we just briefly touched on Ethereum before the stream today, Dane. You know, Bitcoin had a little bit of a breakout a while ago, and on Friday, I mean, the Ethereum chart looks pretty good.
Yeah, I had more ETFs for Ethereum pop up on my breakout scans on Friday than like any other name. There's probably like 10 of them, it seemed like. And you know, I don't historically follow crypto all that close, and not to say it doesn't make sense to buy these ETFs. You know, a breakout in this ETF, you know, if you get in somewhere in here on, if you want to argue this is a breakout here, if you want to argue this is a breakout on this, you know, on Friday, I'm not saying you're wrong. You know, and this goes up a lot in a very short time period, which is what we're looking for. So, yeah, it's a good setup, and Ethereum does have that benefit of kind of being number 2 in terms of the crypto world.
Yeah. But if you also pull up the Bitcoin chart, it's not exactly at a breakout spot, but if you give it a little bit of time, I'm not ruling out that Bitcoin is also breaking out into new ground as well. So if you have both of them in a breakout period, maybe you should focus a little bit on those ETFs moving forward and just have them on a list at least.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's obviously the resistance line is there. So
yeah,
and it's been consolidating. It just bounced off the 50-day moving average here. These are all signs of strength. The 10-day is about to go above the 20. I think it's going to take another week maybe, but I could see a breakout.
We have talked about earlier that we have seen that crypto follows the market. So if that happens, maybe the market will continue upwards. You know, it's just that's how it has been for Bitcoin for a long time now. It has moved pretty nicely with the market, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I will say the volumes was really low last week though, which I mean, you can't expect volume to be super high when something's, you know, $100,000 a piece. But
it did found a really good support on the 50-day there.
Yeah, and I think it's probably rare it breaks through it. I mean, this is that dip that everything took, and even there, it barely even got down to the bigger moving averages.
Yeah.
And overall, it seems like you know, the Trump administration's relatively pro crypto. in terms of like, regulation and accessibility really is, I think, the big one for crypto is, if crypto ever really wants to solidify itself, number one, I think they were talking about, big banks being able to open stuff through them. And now there's like all these derivatives that are coming out of these things. I think it's going to become so intertwined that it's going to be hard to eliminate. The only thing that I worry about Bitcoin is if there was ever like a massive crash, I could just see this all like totally sputter out of control. And there's so much and so intertwined. There's so many companies and stuff that are using Bitcoin in terms of like a hold of value and not really as like a currency that I would be nervous to see what happens there. But who knows? I mean, has it reached the level of like gold where it just doesn't go away?
Yeah, it's I have no idea. I've tried to make sense of this cryptocurrency for a long time, and to me it has just changed. Like the initial purpose, it has moved a little bit away from that. We start to see more legislations and restriction, which was kind of the point that it shouldn't have. It should be free, but to be able to use it, you can't go away from that fact. And I don't know too much about how everything works in the blockchain and all that stuff. I know a little bit, but it doesn't seem to go away. And it seems to be like the world is opening up more and more for it lately. But it will be hard. It's very hard to say where this is going, and for normal people to start to use it as a currency, I think the value needs to drop, or they need to fix the value of it.
Yeah, or obviously, like if you're going to use the value of it, like you wouldn't exchange a full Bitcoin to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is all. Everyone's guess is as good as the next person's, to be honest. It doesn't really matter.
That's the bottom line. Like, and you also can't get away from the fact that there's a lot of speculations around crypto and that field and NFTs and all that stuff. But then the counter argument is you find that in stocks as well. Just look at the intro video today. If you pull up OST. We have seen so many examples lately of similar charts to OST. It's just pure manipulation and a rug pull, and someone is left very rich.
Yeah, but this is if you don't know anything about the business, or you don't have like a good system to set up stop losses, whatnot, this is the kind of thing that can happen to people. So
yeah.
Whether you're, if you're a fundamental investor, you don't really have to worry about this kind of things. I would imagine you're not looking at this.
Yeah.
I would hope
if you pull up PTHL as well, Dane, so people can just see the similarities, because I saw some of these the FBI is now involved in. I think it was OST.
They should be. I mean, this
has
been going on for a while now. There's so many names that have done that. You've probably pulled up 30 charts for me that like are just this like kind of parabolic upwards trend, and then just one day wipes it out.
Yeah, that one day. And you see the heavy volume in the beginning of that big move up there. Someone sits on the entire float almost, and just dictate the price, and then it disappears.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I can't like remember other tickers, but in the chat with you, I've posted a few of them, right? So this is something that is going on. I know that the FBI, I sent you an article about the FBI was involved in one of these tickers now, and I think it was OST, this happens in stocks as well. So this is pure manipulation.
Yeah, which I don't know. Some of these companies, especially ones that are foreign, I don't know how you really I don't know how much you can do to edit this kind of thing. I mean, to be honest, the whatever the clearance is to even list the company must be ungodly low, because you don't have to have any proof of your company or anything to get on one of these exchanges sometimes. I mean, it's kind of nuts. And I know some of these are on like pink slips and that kind of thing, and like that's your own risk if you're gonna get into those kind of things. Just understand the risk involved with those kind of things. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't remember now. But
Yeah.
these stocks can come up and, like I said, have a stop loss. Always have a stop loss somewhere. You know, even if it's even if it was at one of these moving averages, even if you got out at 14. I mean, I know that would suck, but at least you got out before 2.
Yeah,
You
because
know.
you get murdered on those one, right?
Yeah. You know, I always, whenever I do my stop losses, I always put good till canceled. You know, not for the day or anything like that, because I've had that bite me where and I don't have time to always update every day what my stop losses are, and I'd rather adjust it in off hours if I'm going to do that and not have to be so, worried about timing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these things pop up, and like I said, I just don't think there's enough regulation to really to focus on these kind of things. And I mean, in terms of like, if you're buying these things, like, it's kind of, I know everyone wants to hold each other's hands in this financial markets. I know that's the whole point of all this, but and that's why everyone recommends you have a fiduciary, and you've done some kind of due diligence on these things before you buy them. But if you're just straight trading names and you see OST, for instance, I've been in OST and made money on it, but that was probably way back here, not or in
Yeah.
this section here, not here.
No. Check out, I found another one, PCLA. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, and I mean, also too, post IPO. I mean, you see this all the time. Something IPOs, it goes up and then plummets, and then same thing. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is probably someone manipulating the price. Oh, you just reminded me what I was going to say. Nowadays I'm watching things, and I'm when I'm trying to get in and out of something, I'll set a limit, and I'm trying to sell at the right price, or and it's whatever. It's stupid. It's just little pennies I'm trying to knock. To grab on, but I figure if I do that for the entire course of my career, those little percents and things will add up. But you'll see like heavy manipulation going on. Like you'll watch the bid ask spread, and it's like one share at like this price and one share at this price, and they're trying to move it as quickly as they can in one direction or the other. You can see the like computer or algorithm doing it, and I could refresh that super quick on my brokerage. So like I watch it, and they're trying to like push it down or push it up, and you just see it. Not a lot of shares are moving, and they're trying to get that price as high or low as they can. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if there's 2 computers selling one share at a time, selling down a penny, down a penny, down a penny, down a penny, just trying to get that share to move. And then in after hours, the bid ask spread can be some stupid amount. Like let's say a stock's $10, the bid ask spread will be like $4. Like someone's asking 12 and someone's bidding for 8. So, I mean, those are such large numbers. Someone's just praying that some moron hits sell at market, or buy at market, because, they're going to get the stock price to move by doing that. So, it's things like that, like, I know that's all just like, in terms of your execution, but you got to watch out for that kind of stuff, because people are so quick to try and rob you of anything.
Yeah. And all of these, I think, are based in Asia. I think China, and we have talked about foreign risk on the stream as deep value investors as well, And me personally, but that also is connected to my data has been a bit messed up in Y sheets. So I haven't been able to do like a proper analysis of the companies when they are outside of the US. But I've just been a bit like, just avoid. I'm not taking that risk.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And maybe I'm losing out on some opportunities then, but there's enough stocks on the US markets, I think, and not that the US market is perfect or anything like that. This probably happens in US companies as well, but it's just like to narrow in a little bit,
Yeah, I do buy foreign companies, but for instance, like STCUF that I was talking about,
Yeah.
I'm looking at what countries this is out of, and I relatively trust Canada.
Yeah.
They're gonna have very similar regulations to what the states have, and I know it's to varying degrees, so I'm not going to like say one way or the
No,
other, but
I'm also buying Canadian companies staying, so US and Canada,
yeah,
or
I mean,
Canada.
U.S., Canadian, almost most countries in Europe,
Yeah.
Australia, like most of those stock markets that have something.
Yeah.
Japan, I would trust. I would do Japan for sure. Korea, um,
Yeah.
and like those names aren't really coming up for me all that often. Those markets
No, they
usually
don't.
don't move as much as the U.S. markets or some of some of the Canadian names. Um,
Yeah.
and when it becomes to like Canada and Australia, usually their stuff that's moving a lot is more like this. It's copper based. It's some kind of material type thing, which you can find that there's usually like 5 or 6 companies moving alongside that. So it's more like a sector play than it is just like me seeing one individual company. I see like 4 or 5, and I'm trying to pick the best chart, where the best company in terms of its market cap and that kind of thing, to see the return.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to bring up here in terms of me reading charts is I saw this move up here, and then this big day it dropped down, which like we were just talking about fractals, 2 weeks ago, which I apologize once again for last week not being on, but just had some stuff I was dealing with.
Yeah.
But same thing, this ran up here, and it was on this one of these 2 days. I'm like, I should probably trim here because last time we got up like this, it there's a big sell off. And what do you know? The next day it sold off, and I was like, "You idiot! You should have got something off the table there." And I ended up selling the whole position, which was also not the smartest thing because once again, it didn't stay below the 10-day moving average. So this is one of the other mistakes. We talk about Kulamagi and how he basically said that he sold and not waited for end of day, and the reason I did it is I looked at the previous candle and it stayed below the 20 at the end of the day, so I didn't want to end up down here. So I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to go about this, but this one didn't stay below. So I probably could have still been in this and I would have recovered, already. I don't know, I think I sold it like, it wasn't great. It was around like 140. So it took a huge hit. I'm going from 188 or 190. This was almost $2 at a point. Which is why you could see a big part of my portfolio swung. This was probably like a 1 or 2% move for me in terms of a loss.
Yeah.
Which just stupid way I executed it. But I learned.
But I remember when we first started reading up on swing trading and stuff like that. I saw a video that I think I gave you the link to, and the guy did a pretty good analysis of Kulamagi's strategy.
Yes.
And he then tried it, and he blew up his account. So he said that I'm going to stop doing this. But his video, I think, was a pretty thorough analysis of the thing, and he went through the kind of losses Kulamagi had by waiting to sell his position before until it closed below the 10-day simple moving average, and it was a big percentage. Like that type of loss was a big percentage in that video, at least. But still, Kulamagi is doing great.
Well, one thing I have to say is like I get that, but then you pull up a stock like AmpX when this was riding up, and this is just a random name I picked, but like you get in here and like if I sold on this dip on this day or something as opposed to here, like there's so many examples, and this isn't even like a really fast mover. Like AEVA was a fast mover. You get in here and you hold this all the way up. It doesn't dip until up in the 30s here. These are the stocks he also made all his money on. Yeah,
for sure.
So
and
no
and
matter
these are the
what,
ones he said you need like 3 or 4 of these per quarter, and you will make a lot of money.
Yeah, and the tighter your strategy is in terms of selling, the harder it's going to be, because you're going to be missing out every time there is one of these big movers. You're going to catch all the ones that pull back, which great, You know, and maybe from a defensive mindset, it makes you feel better. But these ones that really go up, you know, if you're not capturing this entire move, it's a huge change in how your portfolio is going to perform. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that if you got in at $8, you know, you got 150% return here in the course of just a
Couple of months.
not even 2 months.
Yeah.
So
No, these are the things these are the home runs. These are the ones you need.
right.
Yeah.
And if
And-
your
and they
rules are
exist.
any tighter than that 10-day moving average here, you sold out here.
Yeah.
And you know, this is the same example of CTUF where it pulls back big, and you would probably be kicking yourself right here because it went from
Yeah.
$19 to $13.74. But if you didn't sell right there and you held on, it was probably the right move. And I might look back at STCUF and think like, you know, if this continues up from here and does another leg up and I sold right there, huge mistake on my part.
I think I remember him saying, you know how he speaks a little bit. he said like some people are so stressed out when stocks start to fall, but they don't understand that you need big movers, room to breathe. So that's probably why he has that strict, but you know, the sell rules that he has. But I told you on in our chat that it's so many times in his videos that he said he made mistakes by going against his own sell rules.
Yeah.
So you know, even him, he struggles to follow them, and his thinking is similar to what you did there. He just wants to take up off the profit a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and same thing. I sold out of TDUP, and you know,
Yeah.
it had it once again. This was the day that I was way up, and then pulled back. STCUF pulled back in the same day. I got bearish and sold both. No reason. It did not meet my sell rules. And if this takes off again from here, same thing. I'm gonna look back at this and be like, hey, you sold off a huge percentage for no reason. You were in these names at a good spot, and and you know, in the long run, if these would have been another 5%, I would have been up, you know, another 10 or 15% on these names, and possibly for more of the portfolio. So it's those things like that where I haven't made many mistakes like this, so I have to at least be impressed with myself so far this year in terms of like my amount of mistakes I've done this year are exponentially lower than what they've been in the years past. But
I think it's also worth thinking about, which I done, and maybe I use it as an excuse because my performance has been, you know, below what I wanted this year, and I've kind of missed out on this uptrend. Like I'm not done good enough at all, but I keep saying to myself, I haven't done this for even a year yet. You know, we are still very new to swing trading, and I look at stuff like that as just a learning experience. And you know, since I noticed that I'm focusing on wrong things, I've gone back. I've done hours of studying Kulamagi setups, charts. I've printed out charts. I'm trying at least as best as I can to improve and to, you know, not be left out on the next one. And so far, it's just in my back of my head. I'm just thinking also like, go a bit easy on yourself because you haven't done this for one full year yet, you know.
yeah, and I think that's a level-headed way of doing things. You know, it's not that I, you know, the whole reason I'm doing all this work is not to just do okay though. You know, like I need to, you know, my goal is to outperform drastically.
To crush it, yeah.
And like, you know, Kulamagi and Midravini and some of these guys, you know, they're making 200% a year. I don't expect to make 200% a year. I mean, that is just an elite level of understanding. And some people are just gifted. They just get it. They see it. They're leading the way for others. Maybe someday. I mean, those guys have also been doing it for, you know, like you said, you know, once you've been doing this for 5, 10 years, I hope you're pretty damn good at it. Me,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, we've only been trading for like a year. I did deep value before that. Totally different mind perspective. And I actually feel like I'm, you know, pretty comfortable with deep value in that style because I did that for 3 years now, 4
Yeah.
years almost.
Very different.
Yeah, but very different. And even deep value. I mean, 3 years isn't that long, you know, but I feel like
No,
I
it's
learned
not.
a ton.
Yeah.
But, you know, like when I go back to my stock charts page here, what was the breakouts? I believe is my most, so it must be this one. So these are the breakouts I found on Friday, and I mean, there's a ton of them that look good to me.
Yeah.
You know, this one seems relatively obvious, pretty strong volume, and we were talking about this actually earlier today. If you're looking for volume spikes as your indicator to get in on something, you're too late. Like this looks
Yeah,
great
you're
at the
gonna
end of
be
the
good.
day, but like, you know, we were saying Kulamaji says he doesn't really look for the volume on the day per se, and that's because he's getting in the first minute of the day. Like there's no volume yet. He is going to be the volume. So, you know, in hindsight, just to say this looks good, I mean, it's a little easier. So this volume wouldn't have been there, but that's what I'm saying. Just looking back, I'm like, okay, this was a good setup. This one just reached a high, but also huge return. I wouldn't have gotten in on this one. I just, you know, this is one I would consider though is starting to break out here.
Probably earnings, right?
Possibly. It's tough to say without.
I can check it.
814 is earnings, so not quite yet.
No, that is not earnings. Actually, it's news. They have earnings coming up.
Yeah, that's what I said. You know, this is just a fund, but it's up. Ethereum, you're gonna see all these Ethereum ones in here. Breakout. Compo. This one, it's tough to say, but if you would have. It had a pullback at some point and got down into this range right where it breaks out. You could have gotten in on this and captured like, I don't know, 15% on this one.
Yeah,
so,
this one was an earning thing.
Yeah, so this is another one that like these are the kind of names like you gotta look for these names. Yeah, you know, at the start of the day when you see this. I don't know how your screeners work, but if you have a screener that's set up here, it should be ringing bells that this thing is close to this $15 price range or $15, $20, whatever you want to set it at, and be notifying you because this is a great one to get into. Another Ethereum, EVLV. I've gotten in and out of this one and haven't been able to really nail it, but once again, starting to break out here.
Yeah, it does. I saw you had the NEGG. That ticker has just been crazy.
Oh, NEGG? Yeah. It's in here, isn't it? Yeah.
I saw it was there. Yeah.
NEGG's had so many breakouts here.
Yeah.
That you could have
It's
capitalized
like every day, 15%, 20%. You know.
And the crazy thing is if you look at these candles. It's not even like it's pulling back much. It's usually the upside.
No.
You know, it goes higher and then pulls back down, but it's the upside that you're seeing these, you know, and there's a few right here, but like my point being is, yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Either that or the Chinese are buying this and it's about to drop tomorrow. Gonna sell off.
Yeah, but
60%.
it could because on the down days it is dropping like 10%. The ADR on the 20-day average here is 15.12% in trading view.
So this is why in this strategy you can't just hop in on a random day. You'll get knocked out if it's fluctuating by 15%. I don't know what you put your stop loss in, but it better not be 15% or you got a wild strategy there.
Yeah.
But you know, you get in on a day like here. You know, you could ride that whole thing up. It's a little choppy, but I would say Friday would have been a great day to get in.
Yeah. I think the proper place I would be taking it was Friday, 25 of July.
Which one's that here?
Hold on. Yeah, Friday, 25 of July.
Yeah, if you're looking at this area here.
Yeah, there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you could have got in here, you see it start to ride that 10-day moving average there. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good sign, especially after this parabolic move up and then back. But
Yeah.
once again, pulls back, and then you can see it just taps that 10-day moving average. It tries a little breakout. This would probably been a false breakout day if you were going to get in, and it's pretty quick too. But some of these names, they go up like that, and then they break right out again. So, you know, if you did try this day, not a big deal. But then, you know, it breaks down. It doesn't stay below the 10-day even for only a day. And then it comes right back up. And then you start to see it creeping right back up. Really low volume on the 24th.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, very good sign. I think that was a perfect entry the next day there.
Yeah, and tougher to say at the time because, like I said, this is a very small consolidation period, and you have these huge candles in front of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
But it's if you get an entry, it's worth, you know, it's worth giving it a shot just because of the big moves this one has. Like these are the ones you also want to take some risk to get into, and okay, you can still use the stop and just risk the same amount of your portfolio, right?
yeah, and I mean these are the kind of ones
But
that
maybe enter with a smaller position initially.
yeah, and you know, really the day I'd want to get in is on here. This is the day I'd want to, this June 27th or 8th, whatever this day is here. This is the one that if you caught this breakout, you would have rode this whole thing. And, you know, me looking back, I'm going to argue after my STCUF fail to take, like to sell half my position somewhere in here and then sell another 25% up at around 50. I wouldn't hate myself for doing that if it pulled back down here. Now, this one did pull and actually on this day drop below the 10-day, so you would have sold the other 25% here.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's say this candle didn't quite make it and it, you know, it continued on up to here. I wouldn't have killed myself, though, if I had already taken 25% off at that 50 mark. I mean, you know.
That's like, what, 250% return in just a few days.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, I think in terms of being defensive, like if you can argue that you're being defensive, but it's in terms of like drastically reducing your risk, it's super intelligent to do these kind of things. I mean, you know, if you're up that much on a stock, you should be taking some off the table.
It's about the compounding effect as well, you know, and use that money to try to do it again, you know.
Right. PPIH is the next one. Same thing. It was up almost 7%. So it's a tight candle, but I mean, you can see some pretty strong volumes coming in and pushing this finally out of this range here.
Yeah.
PRM, this is another one I've been watching, and I watched it on Thursday and didn't take it just because it had pulled back. And then Friday was the day it looked like it cleanly broke out. So this was one I'm annoyed that I was watching and did not take.
Yeah.
PVLA, this is another one I was in and sold out of because it, you know, it was during my my day I wasn't happy. Really stupid because once again it looks like it's gonna break out again. You know, I had all these days here where it had dropped down to this and, you know, had kind of crept back up. But then once again, when I sold out of STCUF and all that, I sold out of a bunch of different things. And like I said, I just became overly bearish at the wrong time. And now, once again, this stock's going to keep pushing up higher. So
yeah,
this is another one
this
where
coming week.
no reason I sold out of. So
yeah.
This is one I've kind of been following, and it does look pretty good on Friday. Pretty strong volume there at the end of the day. I know this is a foreign one, but like I said, a lot of the foreign ones that are usually materials based or some kind of commodity based, I like those names. You can you have a little bit more prediction and control on those names. The one thing I'll say is, you know, this one does seem to break out and then pull right back. So that's another thing too. You know, in terms of fractals, you know, do I want to hold this till the 10-day moving average? Because if you look historically, if you hold till the 10-day moving average after one of these big breakouts, it doesn't work well. You know,
I have seen a lot of the commodity-based stocks. They they seem to bounce off the 50-day moving average.
True.
So maybe that's a setup for those types of things. That's something I've been thinking about moving forward. Like I've seen a lot of the gold charts and stuff like that. Once they break down below the 50-day moving average, and you see maybe gold is on the way up, you know, it's maybe that's a unique setup for those types of stocks.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, I mean, the fact that this one, it goes up, it gets to a peak, and then it comes right back down. This would be a good one. I'd probably want to sell on one of these days, because it did it here, did it here, did it here, did it here. I mean, every time, guaranteed. You know. So, and now it looks like it's about to break out to a new high, which once again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you this is going to break out. I'm just saying it looks it. This would be one I could see on Friday if you had taken a position. It looks like a solid place to take a position.
Yeah.
Texas Mineral Resources, another one. Looks like it's breaking out really, really strong volume here. You know, in terms of actual price, it was a penny stock, but now it's broken into the dollar range. But these are the kind of stocks that if you can catch it, I mean, this moved 30% a day.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying you're going to catch that at 30%, but if you can catch it, you know, at 5 or 6%. You know, your screener should be looking in those kind of things, like stuff that's, you know, breaking out, but close to, not broken out like drastically yet. You know, I'm not saying buy this in the 20s or 30%, because, you know, you look at something like this and it's on the intraday chart, you know, you can buy at any of these prices here and it pulls back down and you're going to get stopped out on any of these down moves. You know, even down here, like look at this shakeout. You get in at like 110, it gets back down to 99 cents. So that's over 10%. You're going to get shaken out here.
Yeah.
Which is also why I think Coolamaji, instead of always using a traditional percentage stop loss, uses low of the day.
Yeah, I just used the low of the day.
Because if you use low of the day, you don't get shaken out as much because these shakeouts occur and kick you out.
He has a rule. He has an addition to that rule. Though he doesn't like to enter if the stocks if it's more than one ADR from the price to the low of the day, or max 1.5 or
well,
ATR. I think
and that makes good sense too. That like you also don't want to get in like if you're just losing percent because for instance,
you're going to be too late.
Well, if you have a screener and let's say your one ADR is around here and you're buying in here, like this isn't a great entry anyways. Like I would rather it pop up. Like let's say this is half an ADR. I would want this to pop up on my screener only at half that ADR. So then that way, when it gets here, now it looks interesting to me. And don't get me wrong, not on this candle, but let's say this candle here where it starts to pull back in. This is the one where like, okay, maybe it's found the bottom. It broke VWAP and then pushed right back above it. Like that looks pretty bullish to me. And I guess this would be more like what a day trader would look at. But
and that allows you also to go in with a little bit of a heavier position than if you took it up there.
Correct. And I know he does his position weight based on where he gets in. So and obviously that makes just sense on a lot of levels. I can't always do that just because I don't have the time. It's making the. If I was sitting at my computer doing this full time, I would definitely do things differently. I would definitely have some kind of strategy more attuned to that. It would allow you to get into a lot more names and if I have to take a smaller position into a really positive move, I'm okay with that. Because otherwise you're not getting in it at all. So
Then if you pull up, I know you showed me this and I saw it as well during the week, TOI.
Yeah, this stupid stock. I've gotten stopped on this so many times.
Yeah. But I saw it in hindsight, on that Friday where the tariffs was 1st of August, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see it comes down to the 20-day moving average and it finish up. It bounces up and finish up on the day and then just continues to move up. I saw that later and I was like, well, that was a pretty strong sign that this stock was going to move upwards, right?
Yeah.
So I just saw that pattern and just beat myself up because you should have taken it maybe end of day on that Friday or jump in the next day, I think.
Yeah, I've decided that every year I'm gonna have a stock that just haunts me. And last year it was UAMI, and UAMI I think I tried three times to get into it, and every time could not. And now TOI I've tried 3 times to get in this, and I cannot. So this is now off limits for me. This thing, if it breaks out 1,000%, I still won't catch it because I'm just every time I see the name, I'm like, F you. I'm not trying it. Every day it goes up. And it's right at the range I like to get in at, and then it pulls back, and I get stopped out.
Yeah.
So, whoever's stealing my money on this, you suck.
and they have earnings this coming week, so maybe you get another chance for a new setup.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'll miss the move. I'm just gonna miss the move. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. These guys suck.
One stock that was annoying for me this week, or maybe it was last. I'm a little. We didn't stream last week, and so maybe I'm talking a bit mixed up with the weeks. But VFF, it's in farm products category, and it just ran away from me that Friday. Hold on, when was this? Friday, 25 of July, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago approximately, and it did pull back, and I was kind of happy because I was like, okay, it didn't go up, but then it just turned around, you know, and continue. So that was a bit annoying for me to see. It did it on more than average volume as well, so that had all the signs. It just ran away from me. I was doing some scans, and then all of a sudden it was up 7%, you know.
Yeah, I actually got in on I believe it was July 8th, because I got in, and then this day I had this big pullback, and I sold a chunk of the position there because it was like kind of break even for me. And then of course it kind of goes sideways, and I think on this day I ended up selling the position because I think it was really close to close and it was below. And then, of course, at the very end of the day, it broke up just above the 10-day moving average. So I sold it, because I thought it was below the 10-day moving average. And then, of course, it just continues to take off, and I could have held that position all the way up. Besides, I guess maybe I would have got on this day, but.
And this moved big on 1st of August, so totally against the market on that day. And then just has continued. It's not a fantastic gain, but it's just like annoying to see that things you're tracking, you're not getting into them for some reason, and they just run away from you. But this week, I've had some success with the UEC. Let me check when I bought them. I bought them at 879.
Yeah, perfect entry.
Yeah, I think that was a very good entry. And then I have trimmed the position and have just raised the stop now. I think my stop is at 958. So the previous day's low right now. So I'm just holding on. I did sell half of the position on day 5 on this one, I think.
Nice. Well played.
And I also went into Robinhood this week. My entry there was... I need to see in my statements here because I'm doing things a little bit different on the charts now.
I think you just hurt RK's feelings when you said that.
Huh?
I think you hurt RK's feelings when you said you bought this.
Yeah. 107 I got in.
What's the ADR for this?
5.
It's pretty impressive at this big.
Yeah, I know. And it's past earnings, and then it started to move. So I thought I should just take it. Yeah. So far, I'm up on it. And I was very happy with the Affirmative, which is a bigger company, AFRM.
That's crazy. This is up 200% this year. I'm just
I know.
I haven't looked at Robinhood, but 200% for this big of a stock.
Yeah, I know.
What was the other one?
AFRM. And I bought that at 69.69.
You said AFRN?
AFRM.
Oh, M. Sorry.
I bought it on Monday, 4th of August, at 69.69. But and then I sold.
Keep going.
Good entry, right?
Yeah.
I sold on day 4, and then it pulled back the next day and stopped me out.
Gotcha.
So this, like, my percentage gain kind of was cut in half on, on Friday alone. So a little bit similar to what you were saying with your tickers. So that was a bit annoying. On yesterday, I tried FUTU again, FUTU, and I got in at 159.47. I'm a little bit up on it, but not a lot. And then I got stopped on a few names.
Yeah, I've been stopped on a few names, and like I said, it was the compounding effect of having a bad day, getting stopped out of, I think I got stopped out of 2 or 3 names on the one day and another 2 on the next day. So I was down on that, and all my names had pulled back. The like 3 or 4 of my long-term holds pulled back. So I got out of there. If you pull back up the NASDAQ, we were in this dip here, and and it bounced back up on the 4th, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it reclaimed above, and then I think it was the 5th here when it broke back down below the 10-day moving average. I just had this bad feeling.
Yeah.
And of course, totally wrong. It markets don't give a shit apparently about the tariffs anymore, and it just pushes higher. It is on lower volume though, so I will say in the long run, if this trend goes sideways for a little bit and then breaks back down here, I probably was right, but that doesn't mean that I should have stopped swing trading. That's like my takeaway from this. Whether I'm right or wrong by the end of like next week or the week after that, we'll see. But even in this period from December to February, I think when I was swing trading there, I was making money. I'm pretty sure I was. So yeah. Even though it's kind of up and down, and probably like this is a bad week, this is a good week, like you can kind of get the picture there. It wasn't until where you had these like consecutive few days in a row of just heavy selling and no one's buying. That's when you just stop swing trading totally. But same thing. When I get this like I'm gonna have a rough patch here, because when this drops here, this is something I'm thinking in my head too. Like everything's gonna pull back on this day. Everything's gonna pull back drastically on the 1st, because you went from the 31st being at all-time highs to you broke below the 20 by a decent amount. Every name, especially all your long-term ones, are gonna pull back. But don't necessarily think that that's like a sign that like everything's devastated. Now, if everything broke down here and the whole market collapses, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. You're going to get stopped out of all your names. You're going to lose a percentage of whatever you were in. But that's just what the market did. So
yeah, it's going to quickly, the way we are doing things, quickly, automatically just send you into cash position, right?
Right, which, like, it sucks to lose that. Like, maybe you were up like a 5% there, which is kind of like what I was.
Yeah.
So it sucks to lose that, but like that's why you have the safety net there in the first place. But it got close to that stop out for me, and I just chose to execute my stop out for no reason, essentially. So,
but I must say I was a bit worried when I saw it drop pretty. It's not far, like it's not really far, but it did drop far below the 20-day, just like that,
Well,
it just seemed like it didn't take
this part of this chart. Just take this day forward out and look at this. This was very, very bearish at the time.
And it didn't have a problem. It didn't stop at all. It just fell through it.
Right. And then, like I said, I should have given it more time to prove its signal worthiness, and then the very next day it stayed up, and even though it bobbled around, it held right at all the averages. And then, of course, it breaks out again from there. So, obviously not my best reading of a chart or the sentiment of the market. But, It is what
But
it is.
saying that
It's been a
also,
learning experience for me, and even though it was a mistake, it wasn't a big mistake. You know, I didn't get killed or anything like that. The one thing I
yeah,
keep telling myself is, what am I up? 27% year to date. So
yeah,
I don't know what the S&P is up. I'm sure it's like 8 or 9%, but I'm beating that by a handful. So
yeah,
my point being is that, like, if I'm making mistakes here and there, it hasn't been the greatest year in terms of trading.
yeah.
So it's just one of those years that you know, I guess I'm outperforming. That's what I have to think about. And then, you know, the years where they get the big returns, you just got to do better to
They
catch
would
it.
come. Yeah. Saying that from that drop on Friday, like since then, there has been some deals, you know, with Trump. So there has been news in that time period as well. So I don't know, like it's very hard. The initial reaction is a strong fall, and then you know they adjust it like the coming week with new deals. Things are looking a little bit better straight away, you know. So it's just environment that I think Minarvini said, like, this is nothing new, you know, it just looks a little bit different, but the uncertainty is nothing new.
Right.
Uncertainty will hang over you at any given time in the markets. And right now, this is how it is. Maybe the main difference is like now one guy can send out a tweet that
Yeah.
sends the market up and down by a lot, you know. So maybe it is a bit different, but still you have to deal with these uncertain things you can't control. And then I think the way to do that is to just focus on the setups and the stocks that you find in the scannings.
No, and that's definitely the right way to go about it. And ironically, I think there's almost certainty in the uncertainty in terms of, like, we're certain that Trump's going to say something that's going to cause this to go up and down, but we're also
Yeah.
certain it probably doesn't really have much of an effect. So
Yeah.
I think that's why, you know, where when Trump was first doing all his things and we got
I mean,
this, now he's
that's the
talking
effect,
and you
right?
get that.
Yeah. The effect maybe it has already been.
Right. So
So yeah.
we'll see. You know what? In terms of fractals, I wouldn't be surprised if we get one of these little moves down like this. We had this, you know, in terms of tariffs. If we get this, we get another little dip down and then another bounce up. I wouldn't even be surprised if I
Yeah.
see that.
No, I can see that
But
happening
just
as
to a
well.
much smaller scale.
Yeah. And
Um,
I mean, like some points that we touched upon it earlier on the stream with the Bitcoin and Ethereum, you know, they have been tracking the market and they are if you go and look at them today, they are up, you know, and the chart looks pretty decent.
right.
And so does this chart that you are looking at right now, right? It does
Yeah.
look good. Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that we're about to break out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just I think I'm this coming week. I've had a holiday, so I'm starting work again tomorrow. So I might be a bit more busy in terms of sitting here when the market opens. But this week I will just keep focusing on searching for setups.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where I'm at for the week. Since I'm only in MAG, I just need MAG to do a double from here. So if this could just reach like $50 next week, that'd be great. That'll solve all my problems.
Yeah.
So everyone just, you know, let's hammer the buy button on this guy, and everything will be good. But
Yeah.
this is probably gonna pull right back on Monday for sure now.
Everyone will sell after they see
Everyone's
this.
gonna sell after I just said that. So you're welcome to the Bears.
In terms of like groups, you know, I'm using Finwiz to see the groups. They have 144 groups already made for you,
Right.
which is part of the reason why I stopped with my updates on my sheet, because they do the same kind of job, you know. And like I explained a bit earlier, I need to be more efficient, and updating my sheets, it takes like half an hour, and I have to do it every day, where I should do other stuff, you know. So I just jumped over to Finviz, and you can sort the group's performance by week and whatever you want, you know. But if you look at the top 5 groups this week, it has been number 1, coal. Number 2, other precious metals and mining. Number 3, consumer electronics. Number 4, gold. And number 5, beverage, wineries and distilleries. And then you have silver after that on 6. So there's a lot of groups that have performed pretty good this week, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you know, some of the tech companies had pretty big earnings, so we got that, and also too in terms of like you talking about like the tariffs and whatnot. Also, like Trump's given advantages, like you know he told Nvidia like okay you can sell the chips to China. He told Apple he's doing things to allow Apple to make like investments and like working with these companies. So the tariffs apply, but they apply like when it doesn't really hurt us, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone kind of realizes that like, I think what they're going to do is like, they're going to impose these tariffs where they can that cause the least damage. You know, like they're going to, in the market so far, I think is starting to see that like these tariffs are going to be, like if the markets start to pull back, these tariffs will adjust. You know, like the goal is not to hurt the market overall. The goal is the tariffs will be there. And it's almost like an interest rate, you know, the way I'm starting to like think of it now. Like when the economy starts to do bad, the interest rate comes down. When the economy does well, the interest rate goes up. When the market goes down, the tariffs go down. When the market does well, the tariffs come back. You know, so we'll see how much of a correlation there is, but it's definitely something I see, and you know, this administration is definitely pro-market. You know, I don't know an administration that wouldn't be pro-market per se, but you get my point.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all I got for today.
Yeah, I think we've gone through the tickers I'm currently involved in. I didn't mention the ones. I tried PSIX. If you can pull them up.
Yeah, P6. No, this is talk about a performing stock.
Yeah, I tried them ahead of the earnings though. I tried them 31st of July on that kind of like a little bit of a breakout there, but it just stopped me out the day after.
Yeah, I've tried, but at this point too, it's gotten so big. Like this stock was awesome way back at the start of the year. Super strong performer.
Yeah. Still 10 in ADR though.
Yeah, well, it's been moving. I mean, look at if you got in on this breakout on June 6th, $44.
Yeah, that would be the perfect entry for this one.
Right. And
then
being an idiot,
earnings,
somehow I didn't get in on this one. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. June 6th. I don't know how I missed this. I don't know why. But
this is what I'm saying.
What's up?
When I try to look back at what I have done for missing out on all this stuff, I just see entry points that I haven't seen live, you know, and I'm beating myself. I'm like, what did you do? And I think I just focused on.
Is there a cleaner spot to buy a stock than right there on that line?
No,
like
it's beautiful.
It's a textbook setup.
Yeah, it really is, and it has higher volume than the average on the breakout day as well. So it's just like, that's your point, right?
Yeah.
But again, this one, it went up a lot on earnings, but like you see on the last candle there, it went up to 122 almost, and it finished on below 100. So that was one of the ones that had great earnings and pulled back a little bit, even though it's up 13.5%. It would be interesting to follow this one, but I agree with you. It's getting a little bit bigger, but I think if you can set up again, I'm going to keep it on the list.
Yeah, I mean, and now it's starting to get big to me. You know, that's why I always say, like, if you look here, the market cap was around $1 billion. To go from 1 to 2 billion, you see that happen pretty often. To go from 2 to 2.3 to almost 5 billion, now it's getting pretty rare that occurs. So I'm not saying it can't go up, 20% from here. I'm not saying that. It can definitely do that. But
Yeah.
you know, what I'm trying to look for when I'm buying in things, if I have a few opportunities, if I think it can go up 100%, that's something I'm more interested in than the one that I think can go up, you know, 20%, 30%. I don't want to You don't want to limit yourself like that. And I don't care if the ADR is high. The ADR is high because of what it's done previously, not where it's
Yeah.
going.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, great stock. Great. I mean, the company's done really well. You know, at least in
Yeah.
terms of its stock. You know, I don't want to say. I don't.
And they
Honestly, I
have
don't
pretty
know too much
big
about the company.
they had pretty big earnings surprise now as well. So it's yeah, let's see. You saw the volume coming in there too, just smashing the previous days.
This was the top stock on Seeking Alpha for forever.
Okay.
Yeah, top performer. Because when was if I go out a little bit longer? Yeah. This was worth $3 last year.
Yeah.
So this is the weekly run. Like, you want to talk about if you were trading on the week, even if you got in on the end of this week at like 350, and you didn't get, if you had some kind of rule where you stop out on the 10, you made it up to 20. You know.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know that's a longer time frame. That's not really what you and I are doing. But like, if you're like an O'Neill and you're an institution, this is the kind of stock you want to buy if you're going to hold for a year or whatever. That's a pretty solid return for the year.
You have some good setups there also when you said like May of 24 to 2nd of July 24. There are some opportunities in that time frame.
Oh yeah, I mean even here, you could have got in on here. I would argue here.
Yeah.
And I know this is weekly, so a little harder to say, but you get my point.
Yeah. It would have stopped you out on a few occasions though. But yeah, good stop. Yeah, I got stopped out on it.
You know, you can always get back in on a name if you get stopped out.
Yeah, but only so many times. I'm gonna give it 2 more times, I think.
All right. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Next weekend I'm gonna be away. I do not think I'll be able to stream on either day. Just as a heads up.
Okay. Yeah.
The only possible, well, maybe I can do Saturday morning. I don't know what time we're leaving, so maybe Saturday morning I can do. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know and we will update in the Discord. We keep saying that, and sometimes I forget a little bit, but we try to do it as early as we can and just lock in the time, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it's a game time decision, so it's a little tough, but
yeah.
But it is what it is. But and honestly, you know, most people aren't watching this live. They're watching.
No,
they
watch it.
Yeah, they catch it at different times. And I know people are, you know, like we got people at different time frames watching around the world. So I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then, you know, probably 80% of our viewers are bots. So thank you to the robots as always.
But we are very grateful for those 20%. And by the way, probably 10% of those 20 are you and I, right?
True. Yeah, I just keep opening it under different names so I can get the viewership up.
So
it's worked really well for us.
We are living the life.
Yeah, things are really taking off for us. All right, well, on that note, everybody have a good one.
See ya.